The Michael Berry Show.
Something comes to your attention, and you know that isn't the first time you've seen it. You realize, I've seen that a bunch of times, but you don't know how long you've been seeing it. So I think the first time I noticed it was a buddy of mine named Ike Claypool brought his speaker over, and we were playing pickleball, and he puts his speaker next to the court, but he has horrible taste in music, so I really just wanted to turn it off, and it made me stare at the speaker because I was trying to figure out if I was going to say something about it or not. And it was Turtlebox, and then I go into Republic Boot Company, and they sell Turtlebox, and they're not in the speaker business; they're in the custom boot business and leather goods. And I just started noticing everywhere that it's sort of like how Yeti came out of nowhere and then it was everywhere. That was Turtlebox. Well, I had no idea it was a Houston company. So I just kind of started spotting it here and there again and again and again. So last night on Facebook, I said, hey, does anybody know the Turtlebox boys? Because I went on their website. It's 4 dudes, and they created this business. And I am intrigued by the fact that an independent business in a field like this is a very hard thing to do, because you've got the massive Japanese, American, German, South Korean companies that can throw any amount of money at mass production on something like this. So you got to be pretty darn good and bring your manufacturing process down in order to create a product that people are going to buy. So anyway, Will Bradley is, I guess, the driving force, I'm told, behind Turtlebox. Welcome to the program, Will.
Hey, great to be on. Thanks for
Are
having me.
you a knife maker?
That is my partner, Jonathan. And
what is Jonathan's last name?
The driving McKenzie.
Okay, his dad is Tim McKenzie at Second Baptist?
Yeah, that's him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Great
so
name.
I got a message from my friend Cody Johnson, and not the Cody Johnson, the singer, and not the Cody Johnson of GarageDoorDoctor.biz, the least interesting Cody Johnson of the group. He's the one who's supposed to put me with Frank Beard, but he hasn't made it happen. And he said, dude, you don't remember the Turtlebox guy coming to your house? He says a long time ago. I met him there. He made knives. It was probably 3 to 4 years ago. He made you a knife that slid into the like the butcher block, but it was a chunk of wood from a tree, and he hollowed out a piece so that the knife stuck down into there. He made you a custom knife out of that. He also made knives, and it was called McKinley Knife Company, if I remember correctly. He says McKinley,
Yeah,
but it was McKenzie. Yeah.
McKenzie, yeah. Made amazing knives. I've still got a bunch of them. I wish he still made them because he was very good at it.
And he said you got aggravated with him because he was being all secretive about the finances, because I like to ask people questions about the finances. But he was with Turtlebox, and we were fascinated by Turtlebox, and we were asking questions. I had forgotten that. Wow, that's an interesting thing. So, Will, tell me about these 4 guys that are on the photo. I'm looking at the About Us section of TurtleboxAudio.com.
Yeah.
Which one are you?
Are Houston guys. I'm the far left, if you're looking at that picture, the good-looking one on the far left.
Dude, you got a big old smile. Like, if you were missing one tooth, it would be awkward.
I'm with my best friends right there. We were hunting.
Yeah, but the one on the far right's not even smiling.
He was serious. It's a half smile.
Okay.
He's like the Wyatt Earp of the group,
Okay.
A full smile for him.
All right, go ahead.
That's Reagan on the far right, and Jonathan, you've met, I guess. He's in next to Reagan. And all 3 of us were Second Baptist high school, different grades, Houston guys. And then Jeff, the one with the big beard, he is a Dallas guy, but he's been in Houston for 20 years, so we converted him now. So he's on the good side.
What year did you come out of Second Baptist?
I graduated in 99. Reagan was 97, and Jonathan was 04.
So Jonathan's a lot younger than y'all.
Yeah, he's 4 or 5 years younger than me. He's the youngest. I'm in the middle. Jeff's the oldest and the wisest, and Reagan's 2 years ahead of me.
Did you just wake up?
No, I've been up for a little while. Yeah, 10 o'clock
right,
in
so-
Houston, so I better be up.
So
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you great. You just sound
Great.
hungover or groggy. So tell me what you did after graduation in '99.
I'll take it off speakerphone. Yeah.
Damn it,
99.
Ramon. Tell me what you did after graduation in '99.
Yeah, I went to Ole Miss and studied real estate and finance. Came back and got into the real estate business. Took a sales job with New Regional Planning here in Houston.
Was that Blake?
Blake Tart.
Yep.
Yeah, Blake Tart gave me a shopping center and a phone book. Said go lease it, and I did, and it was great. It was like getting a master class in
Which was the
Houston
shopping
real estate
center?
business. That was a funny story. He goes, well, you know, how well do you know Houston? I go, I know it like the back of my hand. He goes, great. Well, I'm going to give you the shopping center at Fuquay and Sabo. I was like, what the heck is a Fuquay and a Sabo? Never been down there. You know, it was 45 South, and it was an older center. And turns out I didn't know Houston, and this was a great way to learn every nook and cranny of Houston, which I did. I spent 15 years in real estate, and about halfway through, it was the kind of 08-09 crash, a real estate crash, and it was a brutal time kind of for all of us. So me and Reagan were real estate guys. Jeff and John were in the oil and gas business, and you know, that was just a bad time for everybody in Houston. And so we were pretty much all broke except for Jeff, and we moved into a house together on Buffalo Bayou, and that really cemented our friendship and really is the beginning of Turtlebox. Jonathan started making knives in the garage. We were all tinkering with different stuff. We had canoes on Buffalo Bayou. We'd ride them to downtown. We bought a sailboat in Galveston Bay, kept it down in Kemah. So spent a lot of time on the water, and Turtlebox was kind of born out of that. We were all very resourceful dudes and just kind of figured it out.
So two of you were still in real estate and two of you were still in oil and gas during this period of time?
Yeah, we all had full-time jobs, and so this was like you come home after your 9 to 5 and you'd work on speakers or whatever, and we'd, you know, stay up till midnight or 2 in the morning and then go do it again.
All right, hold on just a moment. The website is turtleboxaudio.com.
The information that I get from his show that I don't seem to get from other places.
The Michael Berry Show.
Cody Johnson reminded me, this dude hung out at my house for hours. We had drinks. My wife made a cheese plate. He made me a custom knife in this, like a big old, like a sequoia piece of wood, and the knife slides down. And I remember it all now vividly. I'd completely forgotten. He was there because I found out he made custom knives out of this wood, and I had emailed him and invited him over and invited Cody over, and we spent the whole afternoon talking about the knives, and he made me a knife. And, oh, by the way, he was involved in Turtlebox, and, of course, I asked him a bunch of questions, and I didn't even remember that whole thing. And then I go looking for the owners, and one of the owners has been in my house. That's maybe I shouldn't make fun of Joe Biden after all. And I'm old, I'm a lot younger than Joe Biden. I'm only 54. Will Bradley is our guest. He's had his coffee now. He's got a little more pep in his step. I like that.
Let's go.
You ready?
Well, we need to get Jonathan on. Yeah, I'm ready.
The shirt Jonathan is wearing is skin flesh toned, and it looks like he's not wearing his shirt, which is a little odd. And your shirt,
you want some
I'm not
backstory
sure
on that?
about. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, Jonathan had almost just died. It was 100 degrees out. He was wearing this long sleeve shirt, which was a bad choice. He was sweating profusely, and he literally almost had a heat stroke. We had just dumped a bunch of water on his head, and then this is probably like 10 minutes after he recovered, and we took that picture. So,
I will tell you the honest truth. When I went to look y'all up and figure out who the hell you were, the idea of 4 dudes and a friendship and doing this together, that was the real appeal, not the speakers. I thought this is a cool story. I want to know what's behind it. So, all right. So about you said the speaker, the conception of the speaker is. By the way, I used to kayak down the bayou as well. I would I would start out at 6'10", and I even went as far as Beltway 8. That was a bad idea. I was exhausted by the end of it. But my kids were so over it, and I would make them come with me, and if they didn't want to paddle, that was fine. But, you know, kayak is not the easiest thing to get. No, I wasn't a kayak. I was a canoe because I'd have my kids.
Yeah.
And that's a bear to get down there from. I've got noodles for arms. I have no upper body strength. So for me to get down there and keep that canoe straight enough to get to Spaghetti Warehouse, which is where Allen's Landing, where we would pull out, it was work. But anyway, so tell me how the speaker came about.
Yeah, the first one was never meant to be a business. Like I said, we were all resourceful. Jonathan's working on knives. Jeff was working on some koozie. I was ordering some parts on Alibaba and stuff. And the speaker was just the result of us doing life outside and canoeing the bayou and having a sailboat on Galveston Bay. We needed something that was loud and waterproof, but not only waterproof, it needed to be marine grade and salt proof. And so the first one was not a business. It was just something tinkering in our garage, and we came up with a speaker, and we used it for about a year, and people wanted to buy it. And eventually that turned into a business. We decided, hey, let's go into business together, and decided that was a good idea. We had no idea how hard it was going to be or what we were getting into. This was 12 years ago or 13 years ago. And we started making our garage for a year. Started buying all kind of parts and testing out speakers. It was like getting our masters in the speaker business. And, you know, none of us were audio engineers. We were real estate and oil and gas guys. And we started building them. And we built and sold 50 on Christmas. I think it was Christmas of 2013 approximately. And one of our only investor, a guy named Frank Suber, wonderful man, bought one of the first 50. And after that first 50, we said, all right, there's a real market here. We got to figure out how to raise some money and go get this, figure out the mass manufacturing game. This isn't going to work, make them in our garage. And so it took us about 4 years. It led us to Frank. We asked for some money up front to help get it tooled. And we asked for $145,000, which at the time seemed like a lot of money.
Sure.
And I think he kind of laughed inside and said, yeah, I think it's probably going to cost you all a little more than that, but yes, I'll do it. And he's been a wonderful partner. And we have asked for more as we've grown, but it's been a very lean, well-run, oiled machine. But yeah, your comment that seemed like we came out of nowhere I hear that all the time. I tell people it's like an iceberg. You see the tip of the iceberg. You don't see the 10 years of hard work before that, you know, grinding at night in the garage and all the hard work before, you know, we became a profitable company. I think we didn't pay ourselves for 10 years. I mean, it was hard work, a lot of hard work. Anyway, it's been wonderful to do it with your best friends, and we're all still friends. Our wives are friends. Our kids are all about the same age, and it's been a fun journey for sure, but a long one. We've been doing it for a while now.
It kind of reminds me of the is it Hey Dude? The guys that were at A&M, and they have built a $1 billion enterprise.
Oh, the Dude Perfect guy?
Dude Perfect.
The Dude Perfect? Yeah. Oh, my kids watch it nonstop.
Yeah, and they, you know, by the time anybody discovers them, they're like, well, they have a great life. They just go out and do crazy stuff and throw basketballs off of, you know, high rises into. But you don't realize that one of them didn't go get a job. He kept the business going, and they're struggling and scratching, and their girlfriends are going, grow up, guy. What are you doing? You know, we got a family now. And yet when you do something together like that, it makes it more special. I think that's really cool. Yeah. Take me back to y'all tinkering. Okay, one of you had knives, and one of you had this. What were y'all searching for a way that we can do a business together? Tell me what was going on at that point. What did y'all think was going on at that time?
Yeah. Well, let's just start with our ages. We were late 20s, early 30s, single, broke, coming off of the 2009 crash. And I mean, in that time of your life, yeah, you're kind of searching for meaning and purpose and still learning and very resourceful. And so tinkering was just kind of part of life. Jonathan, more than anybody, probably wanted to do something in the business, you know, like start a business together. We were chomping at the bit, and we were kicking around ideas. We actually talked about buying I was in real estate, like I said. I was leasing an old Fuddruckers in Galveston. It used to be a brewery, and we were brewing beer at the same time too. So we were like, maybe we should start a brewery and buy this old building in Galveston. And so we were brewing our own beer also. So just a lot going on. That was just kind of the nature of who we were back then.
All right, hold on just a moment. Will Bradley, turtleboxaudio.com.
This is the Michael Berry Show.
You end up in Johnson's Bayou, Louisiana, and you will hear frequent reference. Ramon, do you know we have a new show sponsor from Johnson's Bayou, Louisiana? Dale Morris, the tax remover guys, the utility tax remover guy, used to be an RCC member. Now, he's lived here for 25 years. Comes striding up to me at the RCC one night and said, you spent a lot of time as a kid in Johnson's Bayou. And I thought, oh, Lord, did I date his sister? Because I had a couple girlfriends from Johnson's Bayou when I was young. And I said, am I in trouble? And he said, no, I just know that. A lot of people I know knew you, that y'all used to come down there. My next-door neighbor, who was like my big brother, was from Johnson's Bayou, so we used to go down there a lot. And anyway, so we got to be kind of friendly, and then he's built this company up. And he reached out, and he goes, you'll remember me? No, I don't remember you. I'm the one from Johnson. Oh, yeah, I remember you. Anyway, Will Bradley is our guest with turtleboxaudio.com. So, Will, when y'all start tinkering, are y'all the finances of how you bubble gum and duct tape and WD-40 something together, are y'all all four still working while you're making this happen?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Okay, so y'all are still making a paycheck.
Jobs.
Okay.
We're still making a paycheck for a long time. I mean, it probably 6 years of a full-time job until Turtlebox could eventually start paying us a little bit of a salary.
And is that what y'all do now? Is that how you make a salary now?
Yes. In about 2020 is when, kind of during COVID, we started jumping ship, and Jonathan and Jeff went first. They had they had big boy corporate oil and gas jobs. They couldn't even check a Turtlebox email during the day. Reagan and I worked for ourselves in real estate, and so we had a little bit more freedom, and we jumped on later. But we could kind of do both. But those guys really had to quit their job one day, and that happened during COVID. All happened during 2020.
So are all four of you full-time involved in this business right now?
We are, yeah. We are.
And do y'all go to an office?
We are. We're on the west side of town of Houston, just outside Beltway 8 and I-10.
Where?
In a little warehouse. We're right across from U-Haul on White Cliff. It's a flex warehouse building. Been here since 2020. We moved in May of 2020 with 1,500 square feet, and we've grown to about half the building now. We're in about 16,500 feet now.
You know, I've watched concepts like this grow, built out of friendship. I think it's the coolest thing ever. I spoke for the Arctic guys that were out off 290. It was twins, and when I started with them, they were pretty small, but they figured out that if you could make a product similar to Yeti at a much lower price point, then you do it with volume. And I don't know if you know their story. They came out of the packaging and mail business. And so they went looking for a product that they felt had a high price point, that they could replicate to some extent and make the money on the packaging. And they sold it. They made a fortune on that business. The guys out of A&M is a little different than y'all's, but has a lot of similarities. So when you started the speakers, what did you think that speakers lacked that y'all were going to solve? What was the challenge? What was the solution?
Yeah, I think one of the reasons it worked, I think we had a lot of favor from God, because we could have done this 100 different times and it would have failed. So I'll start with that. The second is it didn't start as a business. It started because we needed something that didn't exist. I had broke a couple Bose speakers back in the day, and they were $200 a pop. Sorry, I shouldn't have said the name, but they didn't make an outdoor speaker. Is my point. They just broke in normal wear and tear outside. Didn't drop them in the water or anything, and I was like, man, there's got to be something better. And, the four of us figured it out. And it was for us. So it wasn't meant to be a business. And then it turns out other people like us had the same problem, liked music outdoors. And most of the, this is 12, 13 years ago, so there weren't as many portable speakers back then. And certainly none of them were waterproof. But we built a speaker for the outdoorsman. That did not exist back then. And turns out there are other people like us. People want to start buying it. And so, there was a niche there that just kind of we fell into out of necessity. It wasn't started as a business. And
I'm sure you've heard this kind of story before, but my friend Kenny Allen, who is certifiably crazy, says, where is it? I can't find the email that they but they string together a couple of them and they put rabbit distress calls to get coyotes and bobcats to come out, and then they pop them.
Yes,
but he said it's perfect.
I do that too. It's so fun. It's great. It's great for it. You can be listening to your music in your Polaris and then, pop it out there, put a game call app on there. There's a bunch of them, predator call apps, and red light them. It's super fun, and it works.
My friend J.D. Pedigo, who's a show sponsor, he owns Velocity Business Products, says, Czar, I love them. I have 2 of them myself. They are twice as expensive as anything else, but we are willing to pay that premium for a premium product. They are well worth it. A lot of folks make the comment that you're hiring a cat's ass. I don't see anything wrong with a high price for a top quality product, right? If you don't want that quality product, you can't afford it, you go buy JBL or something else like that. But your pricing is aggressive. Your argument would be better product, better manufacturing, better story?
Yeah, so one of our business principles when we started our garage was best. If we're going to do this thing, we want to build the best portable outdoor speaker in the market. And to us, that meant 2 things. One was loud. You got to hear it outdoors because sound gets just lost outdoors. So It's got to be loud. So that was one. And then 2 was it's got to be rugged. And that's really where most of the cost comes in, is we've got it's the only marine grade portable speaker out there still. And there's other waterproof stuff, but marine grade means salt proof, fog proof. All of our hardware is 316 stainless. Our tweeters, titanium. So it's premium materials. It is a lot more expensive to make.
Why didn't anybody enter that business, Will? Were the materials too difficult? Because you said you're not an engineer. You're not the smartest guy at building stuff, or maybe you are. Tell me why nobody got into that business. Did they not see a market for that?
I don't think they saw a market for it, and they're probably not outdoor guys. We knew what we like to do. We're hunt and fish and canoe the bayou and sail the bay. And I don't think any of the big boys are out doing those things. And back then was very interesting. The portable products that were out there were all really built for the indoors. I'm like, well, why are people building portable products for the indoors when you're around the plug all the time? And so we put a huge battery in there, still do. I tell people we've got well, how long does it last? And I say a 3-day weekend. My goal is if you take off to the ranch on a Friday, you shouldn't have to charge that thing until you get back on Monday. And so that's the type of battery that we put in there. So yeah, it's a lot more expensive to build it, but you get what you pay for. It's going to last you, your whole outing, your whole adventure, whatever you're out doing. So,
it's interesting because it's truly a lifestyle brand. And it's the lifestyle. It's such a great story. I got to be honest with you. Turtleboxaudio.com. More coming up.
For a girl and a boy. I like Michael Berry Show.
We used to have a show sponsor. Ramon, do you remember their name? And it was kind of a similar story. They had they had grown up on the Mexican border. It was white guys, but they'd grown up on the Mexican border, and they had a product that was a cooking product. You had one, I had one, and it was like a what? Fire disc. Yeah. And it was like the old box cutter on a tractor, and you used it to. And the problem was that once everybody had a fire disc, they didn't need anything else, and they didn't have a secondary product lined up. But we sold a lot of fire discs. That was a cool concept, and I loved it. It was a totally portable, so you could take it out in the woods. I like this lifestyle brand thing. I think this is a good story. Will Bradley.
Yes, sir. Hey, the Fire
So-
Disc is coming out with they came out with a small one. I don't know if it's out yet officially, but they are coming out with a new one, so go check it out.
They're good guys.
They're great dudes. Yeah, local Houston guys.
Yeah, great guys. We spoke for them for several years. We sold a lot of Fire Discs. I say we, a lot of our listeners, and I know that because listeners would email and go, "Man, you were right. This is great." I've been, a lot of guys at camp go out hunting and do all that. By the way, my friend Jimmy Pappas, I say that with hesitation because he has a terrible a terrible reputation. He's grumpy. He doesn't say anything nice about anybody. Everybody, he runs down everybody. But he says he's done deals with you, and you are a great guy. So I don't know what that means.
I love Jimmy. He's an old real estate buddy.
Absolutely.
Jimmy is the man.
So you said, and he knows everybody. You said that you
He's
had
the Kevin
to be
Bacon of real estate.
Well, there you go. It's true, though. His dad's in poor health, so a prayer for Spiro Pappas, everybody. You said you got to be able to push volume out. You got to push it out because you're outdoors. How did you achieve that?
Yeah, I got a surprise for you too. I got Jonathan McKenzie, the knife maker. He should be joining us on. I don't know if he's on yet, but
what up, Michael?
Hello, Jonathan. I'm sorry I didn't remember you.
It's okay. I forgot about you too.
My buddy, it better not be true. My buddy Cody Johnson said I got on your last nerves with all my personal questions. He said you did not appreciate that, not even a little bit. But that's just what I do.
Not one bit. Not one bit. It's funny. Will was texting me, and I was like, "Oh yeah, man. No, I was drinking, ranch waters or something in your backyard. You were picking lime trees off your trees, and man, that must have been 5 years ago or something. So thanks for having us on, man."
Jonathan, you just brought up a very sore subject in my house. My 33rd wedding anniversary. I'm glad my wife is not able to hear you because you remember those delicious. we had satsumas, we had loquats, we had kumquats,
yes,
we had great limes. And when
did you lose them in the freeze?
We lost all of them in the freeze. She would make custom cocktails when everybody came over, and she has tried everything to put those. Do you know in the state of Texas, those trees, we had trees that somebody had illegally brought into the state of Texas. State of Texas will not allow you to bring some of the. We had all sorts of exotics, you remember, and we made all those custom cocktails. We lost every one of them. Every one of them. Okay, Jonathan,
dude,
hold tight.
I'm a tree hugger, and that hurts my heart. So.
Well, I got to tell you, on y'all's website, you got a page that says conservation partners, and I thought, you know what? I hope these guys aren't going to be a bunch of left-wing kooks. Every single organization on there is fantastic. Coastal Conservation Association, Bonefish and Tarpon Trust, National Wild Turkey Federation, Mule Deer Federation, Texas Parks and Wildlife, Buffalo Bayou, American Whitewater, Captains for Clean Water, Ducks Unlimited, great organization, Working Ranch Cowboy Association, Junior Rodeo, Pheasant and Quail Forever, American Quarter Horse Association. So at least y'all didn't, if you are left-wing nuts, you kept that out of there. The conservation partner scared me, but I like it.
That's
okay, but I got to know this, Will.
About.
How do you push the volume out? How did you achieve that?
There is one thing, a little trade secret we do that nobody else does, is we do our sound curves outside next to Katy Freeway. So everybody else does them. Well, we started doing them in our backyards forever ago, but everybody else does them in a quiet, soundproof room. We do them outside with loud noise next to Katy Freeway, standing about 30 feet back, because that's how we listen to it, and that's how our customers listen to it.
Of course.
So that's one way. And the original idea kind of was from the wakeboard tower speakers forever ago that throw sound like over an engine. You can hear it 30 yards back. Like that was kind of what we set out to do. And I think we've done it better than anybody else. So that was the goal, and we accomplished it.
Now, did you have to bring in sound engineers? Did you have to bring in outside expertise?
100%. We try to hire the best guys out there. We're not sound engineers by trade, obviously, like I said. So we have hired people smarter than us, but surprisingly, they still get it wrong, and that's why we still do the sound tests ourselves. Like, no, go back, fix it, and we still do them outside here by Katy Freeway.
Well, volume
Can I share
is not necessarily...
our Live Free story with you?
Yeah, go ahead.
I know we're getting close to the end, so I wanted to share our Live Free story. So before we had a business and a product, we had this thing called Live Free. I don't know if you'll see it on our website. If y'all go check it out, I'll let Jonathan pipe in a little bit too on the story, but I'll start it. I got back from this men's retreat up in Colorado. It was a Wild at Heart. I don't know if you've read that book. Deal. Yeah. And basically, it was came back high on life and told all the guys, like, man, we need to live free. And we had this sign on the back of our back door called Live Free. And kind of like a football player, we were at Second Baptist. We had a sign. You'd walk out and hit the sign before you go. We had that when we were going to work. We put a sign, Live Free, on the back door. We hit it before we go to work and said, Live Free, guys. And so, I don't know, John, you want to pick up?
Well, that's like the old play like a champion today
that
Notre Dame did.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah,
right,
go ahead,
and
John.
it was all about casting off the fear of man. You know, it was like we were just a bunch of young single guys, you know, trying to work out the corporate world and find wives. And there's a lot of things to be afraid of back then. Like, does this girl like me? Do I make enough money? And there's this really awesome Bible verse in Proverbs that says, the fear of man is a deadly trap, but those who trust in the Lord will be kept safe. And so we were like, hey, we're not going to live under the fear of man. We're going to cast that off, trust in the Lord, and we're going to go live freely. And we started doing that at this house off of Gessner and Memorial. And Turtlebox was really born out of that. It was really kind of hey, we're not going to worry what other people think of us, even if they think we're silly for starting a speaker company in our garage, which a lot of people did back then.
Hold on just a second. Hold on. We'll talk off air. Hold on. We're going to post the rest of our conversation to the podcast. It'll be up by 11:30. You can go find it. We're talking to two of the four owners, four good buddies who created TurtleboxAudio.com. Our conversation completed during the show, or was not completed during the show. We ran out of time. It's like Bum Phillips used to say about the Oilers when they lost. We didn't lose, we just ran out of time. So I wanted to continue the conversation. I think it's a great story. In addition to a product, I like a story. You know, I'm reminded of the old Ed Sable anecdote he told, and he said about NFL films. The reason NFL films became so powerful and the NFL really grew as a big result of what he did. And he used to say, my rule is tell me a fact and I'll learn it. Tell me the truth and I'll believe it. But tell me a story and it'll live in my heart forever. I love Apple products, just as Rush Limbaugh did. But I really loved the story of Wozniak and Jobs and Portland and a dream and stolen cable box or boxes that would create stolen cable TV and building and nobody believing. And Steve Jobs gets pushed out and he goes out and starts the Lisa. And then he goes to Pixar. And then he comes back for $1 a year to help this idiot from Pepsi who he recruited there and said, do you want to sell sugar water for the rest of your life? And then he ends up replacing him and builds the largest company in the world. It's a great story. It's bigger than the products, and that's really saying something. And the profitability followed as a result of it. I love great stories. We all do. And what I love about this is not the Turtlebox product. That's great, but there are a lot of great products. It's that there's a wonderful story behind it. And I think in a world of AI replacing human thought, in a world of computers replacing human action and robots, I think we all desperately want to connect with intimacy and fellowship and friendship and nature and experience. And it has all that kind of wound into one. So Will and Jonathan, I'll let whichever one of you wants to handle it, discuss it. Let's talk about the moment when sales started to ramp up. Let's talk about the moment where what was that number? Was it 1,000 units? What was that number where you said, hey, I think we got a real business and this is going to work?
Yeah, go for it, John.
Yeah. You know, honestly, there were multiple moments like that. And it's so funny to kind of look back on it now because I really feel like, in 2 or 3 years from now, we'll look back on today and remember, just how much we've continued to grow. And so it's been an odd story with our growth. I guess it was COVID. Is kind of the moment that stands out in my mind. We launched the company in 2018. I'm assuming Will told you that. And And, you know, it was a floundering company for like 18, 19, and like into the beginning of 2020. But it was kind of right before COVID. We had all more or less decided, hey, we need to go full time. You know, this had been a hobby company, had been an evening company, and we just didn't have the thought space for it anymore. And we were like, man, we either need to shut this thing down or go full time. And none of us could really stomach giving up. And so we all left our corporate jobs in 2020 and went to work for the company. So we were the first 4 employees of Turtlebox for a company that was losing money every month. And I remember the beginning of that year, we were sitting in our warehouse or wherever, I can't remember where we were, and looking at our inventory, and we were like, man, we've got like a year's worth of inventory, which for a product company is like insanely way too much. You know, you got to turn your inventory quickly and convert it to cash. And we're, man, how are we going to sell all of this stuff? You know? And then COVID hits, right? And we're like, what in the world? You know, who is going to buy portable speakers when they're worried about dying or losing their job or, you know, whatever, right? It was a mess. And so we've got a 5th partner. His name's Frank. And we called up Frank and we were like, Frank, are we still doing this? And he was like, 100%, man. He goes, man, this is the time you build a business, you know, real Warren Buffett-esque, like when the sky's falling, you know, that's when we're going to invest. And so he gave us a lot of confidence. And, you know, as we now know, looking back, COVID was this, you know, really amazing time for consumer products companies, particularly those that were building products for your backyard, you know, that got you outside. And so, you know, everybody got that stimulus money and they were buying turtle boxes and barbecue pits and bicycles. And, you know, I think we ran out of inventory by like May. And, you know, we had a year's worth in February and we were out by May. And that was like, holy moly, we're all looking at each other like, what just happened? And then we entered into the same cycle that everybody else did, which was in and out of inventory for about 2 years until we could get
supply chain stuff. What does that look like?
That was a big moment.
Jonathan, what does that look like? How many units we're talking about?
That's a good question. I wish Reagan was on the call. He knows those numbers better than me.
I mean, are we talking 100, 1,000, 10,000?
No, it was, I don't know, Will, what do you think? Was it like maybe
a few thousand?
2,000 units, maybe? I don't know, 5 to 10,000 units back then, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. You know, say something like that. I don't know.
All right, so on the website, under the category of speakers, you've got the Ranger, which is $250. Looks like it's kind of the entry level. It's smaller. Then you've got the Gen 2, which is $430. Then you've got the Gen 3, which is also $430. And then you've got the Grande, which is $730. Walk me through the differences and what niche market you're going for with those and what kind of uses you're going for that. Starting with the Ranger. Is that the original? Oh, no, you said, yeah. Is that the original?
Will, you take that one.
Yeah. The original is the one that's 430, and that's the one that is very similar to the one that we started in the garage. So we were a one-product company really until February of this year, and that was the original product. We now have 3 generations of that product. Okay. And when I said, you know, we sought out to be the best, we're on our 3rd generation, but really we've changed it 100 times. And we've had it on fishing guides, boats, and hunters, you know, duck hunters on their ATVs, and we've listened to the customers' feedback, and we've probably changed it 100 times. But we are on our 3rd generation now, and we launched 2 new products. The first one was the Grande in February, and the Ranger right after in March, I believe. And so now we're a 3-product company. And I'll kind of tell you what the reasons for those were. I'll start with the Grande. We listened to customers. Really, I feel like golf tournaments was a big driver for the Grande. You've got 150 people out there. They needed more sound, and they also needed a microphone to make announcements. And so the Grande, we introduced party mode with the Ranger and Grande.
I was just going to ask you what
party
mode was. Okay. All right. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So you compare an unlimited amount. And so we've done several events now with hundreds and hundreds of people. and all with grandes. We had about 10 grandes out for the Buffalo Bayou Regatta a few months ago, and I think there was 250 teams, so about 500 people out there, and 4 grandes was enough for all of those people. I mean, it was cranking, and you can make announcements over them. So just for grande, think of like bigger events, tons of people, big outdoor spaces. It almost works like a PA. You can have a mic and make announcements and all that stuff. So that's the grande. Ranger is like there were situations like, hey, I'm flying to Belize and I can't take my big Turtlebox. I do wish you had a small one I could throw in my backpack. So that's kind of the Ranger. It's the go anywhere speaker, and it also opens up golf for us. The original is a little too loud, too big for a golf cart, although I certainly use it for that. But a lot of guys don't need that volume, so this one magnets to your golf cart, and it's great for golf carts, ATVs, or just it's the go anywhere, throw in your backpack. I'm taking a quick jaunt to Mexico or whatever, and I need some music. So that's the Ranger.
Is that all?
Yeah.
When you look at sales, obviously y'all have a Houston story and you know a lot of people. You could make a fortune and sell a lot of units just to your Venn diagram concentric circle of friends and friends of friends and friends of friends of friends. But at some point you push out further than that. What percentage of sales are outside the state of Texas today, would you guess?
So Texas is certainly our biggest market. It's where we started. And my thought on that is we haven't even scratched the surface, even in Houston. A lot of people don't know that we're a Houston company, and that's why I'm so thankful that you had us on our show, just so people like, hey, Turtlebox is a Houston company. A lot of people don't know that. So thanks for having us on. I don't think we've even scratched the surface in our own city, so I'll start with that. Florida is our next biggest market, and then it kind of fills in between. We're very Gulf Coast heavy. We sell very well around water. So specifically the Gulf Coast, and then kind of up through the Carolinas. And then it drops off pretty sharply. I feel like a lot of people don't know about us at all up north, and certainly in the kind of Pacific Northwest from California. California is our lowest per capita state, and it's got the biggest coastline, so I think there's a lot of room for growth out west as well. But yeah, Texas still number one. It's our hometown, home state.
I would assume you'd have a huge upside in Louisiana with all the Fisherman's Paradise branding. I would assume that if you became the Pelican product, you would kill there.
Yes, Louisiana is a big market for us. Not as many people as Texas, but it's a big outdoorsman market. And again, we make this product for the outdoorsman, and so Louisiana has embraced us. And if you've been watching the College World Series, you probably saw LSU rocking their Turtlebox in the dugout this week, which was pretty fun to see. So,
did you see the game last night?
They love us. I didn't watch it. No. I was at Gordian Sons for the Galveston Classic. It was a good game.
It's a hell of a game. The left fielder for Arkansas, fly ball bounces off his head. LSU had no business winning. This team is blessed by God or something, because they just keep on winning. And by the way, they've now beaten Arkansas, I think, 4 times out of 5 this year. Arkansas was ranked number 3 going into the tourney, but I think they're the best. They were the best team in the country. LSU just show up when they need to. That's an amazing baseball program, incredibly amazing baseball program.
Very cool.
I work for a guy named Eddie Martini, who is a very, very proud LSU Tiger, and I have to hear about all things. He'll call me and insist that I turn a game on, and they're making that comeback last night. They were going to lose. Of course, they had to lose twice because they had beat them in the first round. But it was a heck of a game. So let me ask you this, fellas.
Very cool.
What is the future for you individually?
Go for it, John.
It's a good question. And I mean, we're so caught up in running this business. We tell our team a lot. I mean, we're holding on to a rocket ship. Again, I apologize. I just got out of the Ozone bar at San Felipe and Voss, and so I'd been sitting in there for like 30 minutes, sweating my butt off, and I hopped out, and Will texted me. He's like, "Hey man, hop on if you can."
What are you doing in the Ozone bar?
Dude, trying to stay healthy, man. My wife bought it for me for Father's Day. She went last week and came home raving about it, and she was like, "We're going together." So my wife and I were there together actually. And
Okay, so what
it
do
was
you
cool.
do?
Dude, you sit in this pod. I mean, it's like it's like a super powered sauna, and they pump O3, which is ozone. They pump O3 into this pod, and it's like a combination of heat. Will did it on Monday. It's just like get all your toxins out, man. And I don't know, there's 100 benefits of ozone. They've got them listed on the wall, but I couldn't read them because I didn't have my glasses on.
How long were you in there?
But 30 minutes.
And are you just sweating your you-know-what off?
Dude, you're sweating, man.
So do you see additional accessories going along with this? I know that there's some minor stuff with there, but do you see this expanding as Yeti started in one line of products?
Yes.
You've built such a loyal following. I'm sure you've got some sort of mailing list. You got a way to communicate with those. Once you have a tribe like this, then obviously, everybody knows you take that to the next level by expanding the products because your brand they're so loyal to this and connected to this lifestyle brand.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. We do see a lot of potential for accessories, mounting solutions, carrying solutions, and then just more speakers, into the future. It's we've got an incredible team. We need to grow the team, but like I was saying a minute ago, we're holding onto a rocket ship. We've seen, we've tripled the company, I think 4 years in a row now. So that's just an enormous amount of growth to hold on to, and develop product and maintain quality as you develop product. And so, quality is just the utmost concern. So I would say that in general, we're probably on the slow side of product development on purpose, because we just care so much about the quality of our stuff. And when we put it out and it's got the Turtlebox badge on it, that really means something. And, but yeah, there's a lot of cool things that are going to come out in the future for sure.
I love it. I love that you guys, at an age in life and a stage in life, where a lot of guys were just drinking beer and going to ball games, you guys were out enjoying nature, enjoying life, enjoying the fellowship of real friends, and figured out that, hey, let's build something together, deepens the friendship, probably challenges it. If you have a real friendship or not when money gets involved. And yet you've been really, really successful. I think that's really cool, and hopefully we can inspire some other folks out there who are listeners to go, hey, yeah, you know what? I don't love my day job. I do love to hunt. I do love to fish. I do love to whatever that may be. Appreciate the time, fellas. Turtleboxaudio.com.
Thanks so much, man. What an honor to be on. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Michael. Seriously, it's great to